Right, want to give all praise, honor, and glory, honor to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kakwadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and Jim Master Roosevelt that we learned from. Peace, blessing, salutation to Yakim, Yaakov tuning in, the Israelite foreigners that are scattered, prisoners of war, the captives of war, and not going to be long. Gonna play this video, then bring forth definition, and then scripture as well. So I'm gonna let the video play.
Person on the planet who has been exposed, every black person on the planet who has been exposed to white supremacy, and the assumption is every black person on the planet has been, even when they haven't been in contact with white people directly. They've been exposed to the white culture indirectly. White culture is about white supremacy. Now, what does white supremacy do? It teaches people of color that if you are a male, you cannot be a man, period. Not in the system of white supremacy. And you're not going to be treated like a man, ever. Now, you can walk around and think that you're a man, but that's between you and you. Strictly between you and yourself. Because no white person has an obligation, if you're a black male, to treat you like you are a man. And it's logical simply because in the system of white supremacy, it's impossible for a black male to be a man. It doesn't make any difference how old he gets or what he knows or what kind of connections. That can't be done. I just started with myself. I'm not eligible, not qualified to be a man. Why? Because I was born in captivity, that's why. When you're in captivity, when you're a prisoner of war, you are strictly that and nothing else. A prisoner of war, a victim of white supremacy. And you don't have another title. You can give yourselves all kinds of titles, which is why black people love titles. We give ourselves all kinds of titles. We give each other all kinds of titles. Some titles, it's not as bad as it was in the old days. I say bad.
Now, he said prisoners of war. This is the definition of prisoner of war. It says, in early history of warfare, there was no recognition of a status of prisoner of war, for the defeated enemy was either killed or enslaved by the victor. The women, children, and elders of the defeated tribe, we are known as the 12 tribes of Israel, and we are the prisoners of war, or nation, were frequently disposed of in a similar fashion. The captives, whether or not an active belligerent, was completely at the mercy of his captor. And if the prisoner survived the battlefield, his existence was dependent upon such factors as the availability of food and his usefulness to his captor. Now I'm going to get a couple of scriptures. Be with me. So Deuteronomy 28. And I'm going to put want of all things. So Deuteronomy 28:48. So it says, Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So if you want to drive, you got to get a license. If you want food, you got to go to Esau's stores. If you want to build a house, you got to go get Esau's permit. If you want, some Esau's so-called money to try to sustain yourself here in this hell, this captivity, you got to go to his jobs. And even if you set up your own thing, you have to get your permits, your documents, your insurance, or whatever. And you got to pay your taxes. So, because once you realize you're a prisoner of war, you get understanding, then you get humility, and then you learn how to walk. That's why in the New Testament it talks about repenting, waking up, remember who you are. Because, unfortunately, Jake, 12 tribes of Israel, they think they're something that they're not. And what's one thing that Jake think? They're free. That they can do what they want. But, Esau pretty much dangled this a better living, and I mean, you can't even leave the country without getting a passport, and then you got to go through all types of procedures to, get another citizenship. So again, you're not free. You're not free at all. So it says, and in one of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed you. Now, we all know yoke of iron. When we do that, we all know what it comes up at first. So-called Negroes. So-called Latinos and Hispanics. So there you go. It didn't show no other nation. It did not show any nation. It showed you Jakes. Let me see. Hold on. Was I done? So yeah. So it says during religious war. Yeah, it said if permitted to live, the prisoner was considered by his captor to be merely a piece of movable property, a chattel during religious wars. It was generally considered a virtue to put non-believers to death, but so it was a definition I had as well. I think I could just go back. So yeah, prisoners of war. It says a person who has been captured and imprisoned by the enemy in war. So you are a prisoner of war, POW. So let me get Deuteronomy, I believe it's 14. Let me see, Deuteronomy, captive of war. Let me see if it'll come up. Yeah. So Deuteronomy 21. So let me go up. So it says Deuteronomy 21. Let me see. Okay. Start at verse 10. So, Deuteronomy 21:10, when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and the Lord thy power have delivered them to thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, and thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall hold on. Well, this definitely has happened to our woman. I thought it shows you, it was a part, I believe, that told you kill the men. Damn. This definitely happened to our woman, though. So the so-called black, starting with the so-called black woman. Because Esau uses her greatly for this society that we live in, for economics and purpose and different decrees and so forth, and to break us more as a nation. Mainly you so-called black men, and the so-called white man uses the so-called Latino woman as well to destroy this so-called Hispanic man. I remember not too long ago, a couple months ago, you had the Ephraimite woman talking about sending government aid because Ephraimite men are pretty much killing them, putting them to death. But those fucking Ephraimite women, so-called Puerto Rican women, they're unruly as hell. I've seen it firsthand. Growing up on islands, growing up out there, being around Ephraim. Those women are very unruly. And they have a thing called machismo. Brothers can look that up. But Esau is pretty much trying to cut that asunder. Pretty much a patriarchy amongst the men. Let me see something. Dude, that's what Esau is doing. They're taking our women. Let me see. Kill the men. Oh, here you go. Deuteronomy 20 and start at verse 10. Let me see. Yep. See, this is important. And the point is, it says, this, it was the reason why they didn't send men that was fearful. That would just be betrothed, set up a vineyard, set things up at the house, or betrothed to a wife, because this is what will happen. What man is there that have betrothed a wife and have not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle and another man take her. So, I just showed you right there. When you go to war, is very important. That's why you really had to set your mind and understand that we are at war, especially when it was those times. We're still in those times, and you really got to understand. Your woman, your kid's not for you. It says, getting to the point. Verse 10. When thou comest nigh into a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord thy power have delivered it into thy hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones, this is the point. But the women, you see that when you go to war, you kill the male. Why? Because males, pretty much that first string of males is, they already know that you're the enemy, and they're gonna fight. But when you when you take the woman, women are gonna fold unto power unless she is willing to die. But you take the woman and the little ones because you can use them and break their minds. They're still young, so you can break their minds. And when you got the woman and then the little ones and so forth, just like the so-called white man did to the so-called, when they got the first bulk of slaves, they broke them, beat them, and put in fear in them. And then during generations afterwards, they broke them. They had the Willie Lynch letter. It had so many decrees and so many ways how to break slaves and put fear in them to destroy the offspring. That's what it's all about, controlling and breaking the offspring to destroy the next generation. Confusion. And this is the tactic that Esau uses today. Been using it ever since slavery. So, and it says so in the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof thou shalt take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thy enemies, which the Lord thy power have giveth thee. So that's that's war, and we are unfortunately the prisoners of war. Exodus, the first chapter. Then I'm gonna end it. I didn't mean to make it this long, but it says this is why, any woman that sits there and talk about they don't need their men, you just, you're just a fucking idiot, fucking scumbag. And the Lord got judgment coming for you because, common sense would tell you, it got to be something going on. The reason why they're destroying men and want to make men gay. And there's so many agendas that they're pushing upon our people, the men of our nation. So it says, so again, women are spoiled and your children are spoiled. Your women do not belong to you or your children. That's why it's very important as men to walk uprightly and understand the times that we're in. And understand you are a prisoner of war. And there's a certain way you have to walk out here. So it says, Exodus 1 and 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. He said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mighty than we. So I can come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. Therefore, jump down. Verse 15. The king just spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. He said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew woman, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. So, the key point is you see how they want to kill and destroy the mind of you so-called black, Latino, Hispanic men, West Indian, Native American men from birth. A majority of times, when you go to Sirach, the 4th chapter, and it talks about how, the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. And our women, you can clearly see there for Esau's side. So when they have these children of, when they lay down with the Hebrew men, Israelite men, and you men have offspring with these women are bound to change, subject to change. And when these women have these children from you, they will, if you have a daughter, they will make her and seduce her and break her and put her mind for this hell. The mother is not going to tell the daughter that she's a prisoner of war. She's going to gear her up for Esau's queendom. When you have a son by these women, she's going to make him effeminate because she doesn't want to see the son get hurt or bad things happen. So he's going to be strong, but he's going to be mentally weak. And this is the cycle that they continually use. And why do they, get so far ahead of us? Why? Because Jake, you fail to realize you're not a prisoner of war, so you are gullible and subject to all blows and attacks that are happening upon you. I was at the barbershop today, and this nigga Nick Cannon, and this nigga's a fucking joke. The Lord's gonna deal with him soon. This nigga got a TV show not too long ago. He talking about he was a Hebrew and this and that. Now he's celebrating Christmas on this new TV show. So then he's bringing out these little niggas and simple jakes. And that's what they do. They put these niggas on TV to make it seem like we's free. We not underneath subjection. Esau doesn't have his foot upon our necks. But again, I don't give a damn how much you see Negro jumping, parading. You and our people, even me, are prisoners of war. POWs. And we're in the time you better repent, or when the Lord comes back to redeem us, which he already forewarned us, and he promised us that he would do. When he comes through, and even before then, when the anger of the Lord passes, you're going to be destroyed. And that's pretty much it. Lord's will, you have edified with that. Say shalom.